Episode of Lockdown with Sid. I've got Arko, my friend, with me here, who him and I know how difficult it has been from a from a technical point of view to record this one. How's it going, man? Arko, man. Firstly, just a small introduction. He is the head coach of Combat Clan, which is one of the best MMA academies in Calcutta, and he's also one of the most sought after RJs in the city. So
Yes, it was a bad combination. I run my mouth and my hands at the same time.
so at least you can back up all the trash talk, no? Then
Oh yes, I think we seriously need trash talk tutorials for all the people here in.
yeah, man. So I wanted to do something on Calcutta for a while
Yep.
because I've got a lot of people, a lot of students of mine who who are from Calcutta. So I just want to see if it's recording also or not. Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah, still recording. So yeah, so I
Yep.
I have a lot of students who are from Calcutta or who've lived in
Yep.
Calcutta. So I always get scary stories about MMA and BJJ in Calcutta. And
Oh,
I've also like read and seen really scary stuff out of Calcutta. So that's why I was like, let me just talk to you about it.
yeah.
How's it been, man? Like, just give us a bit of a background. Like, how did you get into it, and how did it all start?
So I think it all started because I wanted to do MMA. So everybody got introduced to MMA Ultimate Fighter 1 when they were streaming back in AXN. That was the
Yeah.
first time I even saw what MMA was, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to get into it, and I was really interested about the grappling part of it. And there were no MMA clubs at that point of time. So I went and joined judo club, and that's a very big story. That's for another time, and then you will understand why Calcutta is so scary. I got into judo club. That's a history in itself. Then I started with 360 degree sports. I don't think they will acknowledge my existence, but even then. But I started there, and I started as someone who was interested in the sports. So I got involved in the sport. Then coaching option came up, and I sucked as a fighter anyways. So I went into coaching, and it's been since I think 8-9 years been involved in the sport. And I think India is doing well, but Calcutta really needs to buck up. And I think the last 2 years that I've been running the team, it has been an up and down ride. It has been topsy-turvy, but I think we'll get. Who is perfect? Nobody isn't.
Yeah.
But trying to do our best.
Yeah, and I've actually been following Calcutta. Like I'll remember me looking at the first time when Alpha Omega was launched. So they launched in front of my very eyes, and then I saw that they were originally from 360 as well. So a lot of the academies I've actually seen, BJJ Ronins now, these are good academies, but I've seen them come to life in front of my own eyes. So it's nice to see that the sport is growing, but slowly, but it's growing.
Yeah, see, when I was still in 360 when Shiva launched Alpha Omega, and Shiva and I basically started. He was into martial arts way before I was. He was doing it like many years before I started, and he was doing good. And he started the club. Him and Shri both are great friends of mine. We are like, I literally saw that club launch, and they are doing great now. Tearing up the scene apart. And I think one of the most legit places to be if you want to train, jiu-jitsu and MMA in Calcutta.
Definitely, and I think they've also got like celebrities training with them now. Like a lot of
a lot of celebrities. Yeah, a lot of celebrities. They have become some sort. Means when you talk about the gold standard of what training should be, I think, and Shiva and Shri have always been like that.
Yeah.
Means, back in the day when we were training together, training has always been good, and they have a good coaching staff.
Yeah.
And I think I would like to if I have to raise my level, I have to get up to their pedestal and or go beyond. That's
yeah.
I think it's a friendly vibe that we share, and I think that should be the case in most of the places coming up.
I agree. So I mean, I asked I put it on Instagram. You saw as well. Like I asked if people have any questions, and shit, man, there's so many of them. So I'm gonna put you in the hot seat because there's so many.
Let's do some controversy.
No, the funny thing is like all the questions like most of them are controversial, but some of them are quite basic. Like it's not just Calcutta centric. A lot of them are, just wherever there's BJJ MMA, these questions will come up. There are two questions from this guy called Beard Over Beer, and he's asked that BJJ is not established much in Calcutta, and still people charge a lot for training. So can you give me an idea of like what sort of prices are charged in general in Calcutta for MMA or BJJ training? Like just a range.
See, first of all, I'll come to the question. I'll make it a two-part question, as he said that it's not established. Now it depends upon where you are going. Like if you are going to coming to me or you're going to Alpha Omega, I know that in a worldwide space, a blue belt is nothing much. But me and Shiva both are blue belts, and we have been doing it for a long period of time. And I think Shiva will turn purple any day soon because he's been competing and doing his stuff for a long period of time. And what we generally charge, I don't know about them, and I don't know about what the other classes are charging. And so I generally charge around about 2,200 to 2,300, and that's for the entire month.
Yeah.
Like that's for 16 to 18 classes.
That's not a lot.
That doesn't even come up to like $150 a class, and we have to pay rent, and we have to get the place. We have to put in our own mats.
Yeah.
We have to put everything done, and so we are not only charging for the thing is when somebody says what are you charging for your talent, you got to understand it's not only our talent. We have to put the whole facility behind it, the full infrastructure behind it, and then what is left for our talent or our skill is nothing.
Well, the way I always talk about it is like I talk about, okay, you need a place to train firstly, right? So you got to pay rent, and if you're in Calcutta, you look for a nice place. 40,000 rent, for a month is decent. I mean, it's just it's a budget place. 40,000 if you start charging even 2,000 a month, you still need 20 people to be regular members to pay just the rent.
Okay, and that's no maintenance.
No maintenance, no electricity, cleaner. Whitewash, all that stuff, and plus you want to make some money because it's a commitment of your time, effort, energy. So I mean, what are we looking at? Either if it was a sport where there were 50, 60 people who want to train regularly, then you can charge maybe 1,500 and make it work. Yeah, you can charge 1,500 and get it. But because the numbers are so low, we're sort of stuck in a scene where you have to charge something because you got to cut costs somewhere, like make the rent fee that you got.
No, there are academies and like in my vicinity, there are academies that charge 1,500, 1,500 per month.
Yeah.
And I'm completely okay with that.
Yeah.
But you also got to understand, like if you go to a place like Alpha Omega, look at their credentials.
Yeah.
You also got to look at their credentials.
Of course.
They have been winning national championships consistently.
Yeah.
They, I think, have two blue belts as their head coaches, and it's not only about the blue belt. But he has Shiva and the other guys have been in the circuit for a long period of time, so that's an experience that counts. And it's not that we are getting our blue belts from like here and there. Our coach Reese Dykes is from Australia. Reese, right? You have
very well
done one of the episodes with him. So I mean, there are some people blatantly who have never. Now, I'm not calling anybody out, but they have not been even on a mat for a single day. And, as long as they have the certifications from YouTube and charging more, I don't know if you can pay that, you can certainly, pay guys like us. I don't think it's a problem.
No, but that's my point. My point is like, just not even considering that. I'm just saying that even if you just have to run an academy just on the basis of rent and making some money on top, 2,000 in each, you can't go. You can't. Otherwise, it's not worth your time, effort, energy. You could be doing anything else and be making a lot more money than doing all this effort, setting everything up, and still making a loss. So I think 1,500 is. I mean, 2,000, 2,500. I think is totally reasonable. I don't think it's asking for too much. I think it's completely fine. That's just and I hope like I've explained the math. Otherwise it doesn't make sense for the academy to run it. I think if someone
Absolutely.
if someone wants to run a discount, I think they could come to you and say, Orko, okay, the 2000 is too much for me, but I'm guaranteeing 10 students that will come because of me.
Yes,
Okay,
I
and
will.
please give me a discount.
If you come, if you come to me and say that, I will just slash that thing into half,
Yeah.
because I know now you're bringing in 10 more students. You know, it's not only that. I have a couple of guys training. They don't pay me anything,
Yeah.
and I would be wrong to say that they don't pay me anything. I would like to rephrase it that they pay me through their hard work,
Yeah.
because they are full-time guys.
They contribute.
Yeah, they contribute. Like if I'm not taking the class, my guys are taking the class, so they contribute in other places. They contribute in other capacities.
Yeah.
So why would I charge them that much?
Yeah.
But if you are coming in just as a member and telling me that I want to learn, and I have to maintain that place for you and for other members to come in, it doesn't make sense for me to charge less and give it out of my pocket.
Yeah.
Then I'll have to maintain a job. Like I
course.
maintain 2-3 jobs and run my academy.
Yeah.
So it's not easy when people think running an academy, and you and me would both agree on that.
Yeah.
It's not
hard.
easy.
It's hard, and it's like I tell people all the time. Like people will come to me and say, "Sid, can we train for free?" And I'm like, "Why?" Because we're gonna train so hard. We're gonna be there 6 days a week, 3 times a day. We're gonna we'll be there all the time. So I'm like, okay, so you're gonna go to McDonald's and tell them, listen, I can't pay you for the burgers, but trust me, I'm gonna be eating every single burger that you put out, morning, afternoon, evening. Okay.
Yes. I won't let McDonald's go to waste at all. I will eat all the burgers that you
I
have.
will eat, and that's why I give it for me for free. Which I mean, I don't know why that's expected and accepted in the MMA community. I just doesn't make sense to me.
Because everybody is a UFC caliber.
Yeah, they're the next Conor McGregor. So yeah. Anyway, next question. This is from one of your students. Sagnik is your student, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he asked a question. What is your opinion if 2 different teams from 2 different states train together?
I think that's good. And I think it's not only good, it's required. You see, when Shagnik actually went to Delhi,
he trained
I said, go and train into Crosstrain. You know, I always tell people, like, I have guys who I have trained in the past.
Yeah.
And they are into IJJ, they are into different clubs. And I always say, go and train. I always say here, it's not only from other states. I always encourage, we train with the Jiu-Jitsu Ronins. You know, Devan's team, Devan has come to, and I go to Alpha sometimes, and I take my students. So you got to understand there has to be a mix and match of training and training methodologies. You know, the way you train people, I might not. And so there is something to learn from each other. And I think Calcutta is a little bit behind when it comes to the number of bodies or the number of people actually doing it.
Yeah.
Now, Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, the numbers are quite high, and the amount of competitions that you guys are doing, it would be very foolish if I said that don't go to that club and don't train. Yeah. Because you have guys in MFN, and you guys are doing international competitions. My students haven't got international competition yet, but to go and to get that mentality and to get to learn from you how to actually handle an international competition, to learn the tricks of the trade. And come on, I'm a blue belt, you guys, you are a brown belt. Somebody is always up in that chart, and you got to be free to learn from each other. We cannot just say, okay, I know everything. I don't know everything. Even black belts don't do that. So we as people who are just learning, and I think learning is eternal and you always learn, there should be always should be a cross training between gyms and states and so-called cities. We live in a country, so how is it different states matter? I think it doesn't matter.
I have a question of my own. This is my own personal question. Have you met a nicer black belt than Riz Dias? Have you met
no.
Have you met
I will tell you what actually happened, right?
Yeah.
Now, this was the most embarrassing and enlightening thing that happened with Rees.
Yeah.
So this is how I met Rees.
Yeah.
So we were running one of our classes back in 360, and we had a beautiful studio right in the center of the city.
Yeah.
And we were up on the internet, so anybody could look us up and come down and train with us. So I see this two very gentlemen, nice looking gentlemen, and I think he's a Vaishnav, so he was visiting ISKCON temple here in Calcutta. So I see this two nice gentlemen come in and they ask, good evening, brothers. Where can we train a little bit of jiu-jitsu? I said, have you any experience of jiu-jitsu? And at this time, I was, and I'm talking this is 7-8 years ago. And he said, yeah, little bit. I have trained jiu-jitsu a little bit. So, okay, go and change and we can start practicing and it would be good. And he comes down from the stairs.
With a black belt.
Imagine my horror. He was coming down with a full gi on and he had a brown belt on him.
Oh, wow.
It was torn and tattered.
Yeah.
And me and Shiva were just looking into his face. And I just blurted out, this is your little jiu-jitsu? And by that time, he had already won the World Masters.
Yeah.
He was a Brazilian champion at purple belt.
Yeah.
He had done the absolute division. He had trained with Roberto Gordo at that point of time. He was living out of Brazil for 1.5 years. You could understand the fear in my eyes. And I said, that's a little jiu-jitsu that you have done. And he's the nicest person on this face of this planet.
Yeah.
He will kill you and laugh on your body and smile. Brother, that was a good role.
Yeah, it was amazing because when we met him, like I usually don't get like our size, like Indians in general are not that big. So when we get black belt, they are massive, man. They're like 6'3", 6'4", 100 kilos. So I finally had like with him, it was finally someone similar to my size. I was like, perfect, like finally what I've been searching for, and so good and so technical. And he was telling me,
it's like a very basic game.
Yeah.
So in my years with training with Reese, the professor does not do anything like fancy. He would take you in your guard, in his guard, and like
close guard, arm drag, take the back.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
And that's what he does. He sits on your chest, and there's the 100-pound side pressure that they talk about.
Yeah.
And that's what we have learned. So and I don't know whether you know this, but there have been a lot of black belts that have come into Calcutta. It's not only Reese. There are, I think, 4 or 5 black belts and I think it's our bad luck that we did not utilize them well.
Yeah.
And everybody has a bad taste about Calcutta when they leave, right?
There was an incident which I not recently, but I think a couple of years ago I found out. Like there was some article that came out that there was some black belt who was wandering the streets of Calcutta because he had been somebody had taken his passport or something. What the hell was that, man?
So I'll tell you how I came to know about that. So I just found out that he was a brown belt at that point, not a black belt, but a brown belt, but a very high level brown belt. And he was from the Barbosa team. So quite a high level team and things were good. And okay, so I think his name was Thiago. I don't recollect his name. And suddenly, and I'm like, you have a brown belt here in Calcutta that high level, and somebody has brought him down. So we wanted to go and train. I could not go and train at the time. But suddenly, in a few days, I hear that these guys that have brought him down from Brazil. Now, he was flown down from Brazil.
Okay.
With all, he was promised a lot of cash. He was promised a new life. They took his passport and said that you are here working. So this is what I've heard. I have not experienced it my hand. This is what I've heard from different places. And when he said that I'll go to the police, they said that we have your passport and you are working here without a working visa. So we will get you booked. So he could not even go to the police. And his passport was taken away. Some of my friends had to go in and rescue him and send him back. So he went back to his country via Bangalore. This is what they do to, that's why Calcutta has such a bad
Who are these guys? Who's this guy who did this? Who's the promoter here? Was some gym or?
I don't know the other guy's name because I have seen him only once, but this guy called, he goes by this name called McKnight Jordan. I think his name is Oshes.
I've seen his name
So
somewhere on Facebook or something.
yeah, you would see him everywhere.
yeah.
You would see him everywhere.
Yeah.
You would see his posts everywhere,
comments. Yeah.
like comments everywhere. I was at the receiving end of a lot of trolls, and you would not even understand the amount of trolling I have. I don't know why I get trolled, but I think I'm quite famous that way. These people, him, and there was another buffoon who was involved in this whole thing.
So they called the brown belt in from Brazil,
Yeah.
and then they took the passport and they weren't paying him, or why did they call him for training?
Yeah, so they wanted to call him, make quick bucks out of him. They said we have this gym, and they were only working out of a rented studio.
Okay.
And see, everybody out of Brazil, like most people who are not involved in BJJ will not know that it's not that Brazilians have the greatest of luxury back there. Everybody wants to come out of Brazil and do something out of Brazil.
Yeah.
And India is a booming market, so he thought, okay, let's give it a try. And when he came here, he saw completely different kind of that's what gives a bad taste about Calcutta.
No, that's not just that's just not about Calcutta. That's about India in general. Like that. That's and also the fact that there are so many news outlets and so many platforms promoting MMA, BJJ. No one covered this story, and I mean, absolutely. When I saw it, I'm like, what the fuck? Like it really was.
And it happened.
Yeah.
And it happened right at right in a backyard. People had to literally go and save him. And these two buggers were like absconding. Because we said that if you are doing this, it's coming to the whole BJJ community, and somebody would have taken some action.
Yeah.
If this would have continued, I would have taken some action. And these two guys were nowhere to be found. People who promised things. And that's about it. And see, I'll tell you what the problem is. I think the problem with our country in general, that before there is an established sport, there are established associations.
Yeah.
And federations. So before you have a sport, you have organizations telling that okay, we run the sport. So there isn't enough knowledge, but there is a regulating body. It's like if you had some state athletic federation telling you, okay, there isn't MMA, but we are going to regulate MMA.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, and that's the mentality we have to give up.
Yeah, but people need those authority figures because they've never done it. They want some recognition. If tomorrow some XYZ dude wants to open an MMA academy, he can't compete with you or Alpha Omega or Ronins. He can't compete, but he needs that seal of approval that we are legit. How does he do it? He pays money to the association. Association says, this is our guy, and all of a sudden, he's in business without training, without any knowledge. He's in.
And you would be amazed, like how many competitions are you banned from, say? How many competitions is Crosstrain banned from?
Quite a few, man. I would say about 8. I think 8 between MMA and BJJ combined. Yeah.
Even me.
Yeah.
Even my team. I think Alpha is also. We both the teams are banned.
Yeah.
And you would be amazed. I actually sent an email stating that why are we banned? And they have screenshots of me. So what I was told that we have screenshots and evidence that you were bad mouthing about the association. That's why we are banning you. So my question is asking somebody that what are the norms and the protocols are, because I'm an educated guy, is not bad mouthing anybody. I'm educated. I know what are the protocols are and how sports federations work because I've studied about them.
Yeah.
And I'm asking you, because you're a non-profit people's organization, that why are you doing certain things? Because I have the right.
Yeah.
I'm not bad-mouthing you. And if you are going and telling me that I'm bad-mouthing you, obviously I'll come out and say that you people don't know anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big problem, man. It's a big problem.
We are banned because we are not part of the team. That's the whole point. That's why you have associations. That's why you have open championships which are not open, so that people can come in and take part.
Yeah, I mean, the issue that we've had at Crosstrain is, with MMA, what happened was first there was one governing body, and then all of a sudden, 10 of them popped up.
Yeah.
And all 10 wanted Crosstrain to come on board as exclusive to that promotion. And if you see, like
Exactly.
most associations would have one big tournament or a one big, MMA event that they would do in a year. Now, I had a lot of fighters, man, and I can't just tell them that you can only compete here because they only have a few years, and they sacrificed everything. They're not earning anything. They have to fight wherever they can get a fight.
Yeah.
So
And who are we to even tell them where to fight and not to fight? If they are bringing in a fight on their own accord and they are getting, we are not managers. First of all, we are not managers, and they are getting fights from their own accord. And if they are getting the fight and if they want to fight, who are we to tell them don't fight here? All I do for my guys, if they want to fight anywhere, check whether they are following the standards, whether they have good medical staff, whether they are paying expenses, if it's semi-pro or pro, because for amateurs, I don't think, right? Whether they are making a contract which is completely bogus.
Yeah. Which again,
if all these things are met and some other things are met, you can go and compete. Now, most of the organizations that I've not worked with a lot of them, the only organization that at this point of time, so I go and talk with everybody and they say, okay, we'll allow you to, fight wherever and whenever. And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I was working with AIMMF, like All India Mixed Martial Arts Federation, and with Aditya and everything. I think Aditya has been the only one person who has called me up and said in different occasions, your fighters can fight anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. We want to, the more they fight at different places, I think it's better for us so that we get higher level of fighters.
Yeah.
And I have never faced, like Abdul Munir and everybody, good friends of mine, and I've never faced any problem. Okay, Arko, why is your fighters facing them? Going to other competitions, whereas other places have banned me.
Yeah, I mean, it's very tricky, man. And I'm in the middle because I don't want to be exclusive with anyone. I just see that if my fighters want to fight,
it actually doesn't make any financial sense. Also, say if you're running a club, you have 100-odd fighters, and if you really have to become exclusive, are they giving right from a corporate point of view? I work for a company.
Yeah.
My company needs my voice exclusively. They are paying me exclusive money for my voice, so I cannot lend it to someone else.
Yeah.
Right? Like exclusive deals, like all this. So in all or anybody, you go into any gym which has exclusive rights to fighters and exclusively have signed their fighters to promotions, they are paid what is called a contract fee.
Yeah.
And they are given a couple of number of fights per year or per tenure. Like let's say 5 years, 5 fights.
Yeah.
And if the company fails to give that amount of fights to the fighter, they are compensated for it.
Yeah. They're
compensated for the camps because they're going through camps. Are this, first of all, associations and federations are non-profit. It's like the Nevada State Athletic Commission going to the UFC and saying that I have fighters and they will only fight exclusively for UFC. That's not happening.
Yeah.
How can somebody who's a non-profit exclusively own you? Does that even make legal sense?
Yeah, it doesn't. But that's India, no? That's why it's fun to do this in India because there's so much excitement. It's always
So what's the next question? Because I reckon if we go on speaking on this is like an entire. We'll do it in our podcast. I'll ask you these questions on my podcast.
Sure, let's do the last one. Last question. It's not okay. This is a question from I am Rajput 2311. He says that fraud promoter Ratul Mukherjee, expose him. Now, I've never met the guy, but he is one guy whose name has come up so many times, and my fighters have never fought for him, or we've never been approached by him, so I know nothing about him. But his reputation precedes him. The only thing I'll say is that I am known to him I mean, he's known to me as Dana White of Calcutta. So, please tell the world
Oh, yeah,
about.
he's known to everybody.
Yeah, please tell us what is the issue with him. Like,
You
what is,
and
who's he?
you out of all the people chose me to answer this question.
Oh, this is they asked me to ask you.
Whoever did this, thank you. I would like to thank you, and
I am Rajput
I'm going to get a
two
lot of
three
heat
one one.
because of this.
Yeah, so this guy is I am Rajput 2311.
Whoever it is, thank you for asking me this. Nobody asks me these questions, and nobody invites me to podcast to say all these things. But let's put logic back in the air.
Okay.
Like, I don't know what he does and what he runs and how he runs it, and all I've heard is allegations, right? And I have a very bad experience with Ratul Mukherjee. Like, very bad means I don't like him, he doesn't like me. Let's get that on record. Ratul does not like me, I don't like Ratul. But at the same time, he is working. Like, he's working. He's putting out. He recently put out some promotion, I guess, Solo Warriors, and which, by the looks of it, was good. I don't know how the fighters got paid or whether they got paid because I was not involved in that. None of my fighters were, so I don't know what. But the Solo Warriors look kind of nice. They had a ring and everything. A lot of people came into attendance. So he did his stuff. And he is around for a long period of time. And me and Ratul do not share a very good relationship. We don't share any kind of a relationship. I think both of us will try to break our faces if we meet each other because he made it very personal at this point of time. I would surely like to not meet him ever again in my life.
Okay.
Because, you also got to understand anything that I say might come out of a personal bias of the bad experience that they are. But I have heard, and there are allegations against him that he does not pay fighters, and he does not pay fighters, and he promises them. I think Jujar Singh Dillon.
Yeah.
You know him, right?
Yeah,
Jujar?
I know him.
So Jujar had a very bad experience with one of the promotions he was involved in.
Okay.
And he was said, and he came down 1 week ago, and he was training with Shiba and everybody. They went down for the fight. And he was not paid his travel expenses. He won the so-called belt.
Okay.
It was made out of leather.
Okay.
So he didn't get paid for being the organization's champion. He did not get paid to fight. He did not get paid for his travel. He did not get paid for anything.
But this is Boom. This is Boom, or is it Soul Warrior?
I don't know what they keep calling it because they keep changing the name.
Okay.
So that's about it. That they keep changing. And my worst experience, and I think Reese was there too, and it turned pretty ugly. One of the guys that was fighting, I think Tony was fighting, Kimson.
Yeah.
Nice guy, and so he was fighting, and what happened was he was fighting Yogesh.
Okay. The tall guy.
The big guy.
Yeah.
The big guy.
Yeah.
And there was seven illegal elbows that happened. And the elbows were the back of the head.
Okay.
And me and Reese were in Tony's corner. And you got to understand that whenever you have promotions, so-called promotions, you need to have a certified referee who knows what he's doing, who is certified by a certifiable federation, not that the one you created in your backyard.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, right? He got 7 elbows, and the referee, I don't remember who that was doing nothing. And I had to actually shout that there were 7 illegal elbows for the health of the fighter.
Yeah.
So, and I said, don't do it. Now, it's common sense. You do not elbow, right? Do not elbow somebody's back of the head.
Yeah.
And there was a huge scuffle. And I said that when you don't have referees, when you don't put on a show.
Yeah.
Have medical assistance. And this is what most people come out and say to me, or I have heard, and I think the problem is most people do not go public, and most people, when they do get do go public, they do not stick with it. That I have heard that they don't pay their fighters. Now these are allegations. They don't have proper medical support. Now this is prior to what they have held for Soul of Warriors. I do not know what they have done there. Looks like a good show. I hope it's a good show. We need good shows. And if they are doing good work now, because everybody grows through this, so I think that's about it. And one more thing, he turns everything to be personal, and I don't support megalomaniac and egomaniacism as such as this, because do not make it personal. Like me might not like it. Why would we make it personal? No, I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about it. Okay. I don't know anything about personally. I don't know anything about you personally, and I'll tell you a weird story how personal it gets. So this dude actually pulled my wife into the whole equation and created a fake page. And then later he said that I was the one who created the fake page and I was trying to tarnish his name. Understand? Not take a lot of money to actually track an IP and where it's made.
Yeah.
Right? And I work in the media, for God's sakes. Tracking an IP is the least I can do.
Yeah.
I think that page has been taken down, but the IP was tracked, and I could have made that a legal case, but I didn't, because these are two small cases, and but you don't do these kinds. There are lines we don't cross.
Bro. That's insane.
Right?
That's crazy. That's crazy.
And you would so another thing, when we were having our first event. When we were having our first event for the lockdown fight nights that we were supposed to hold, and we are still holding, and you guys are invited.
Yeah.
What happened was two of the so-called teammates of his teammates landed in the venue that we were holding it, right? You won't believe they were actually taking live screenshots and videos, sending it to another stooge back there, and they were posting it into the live comments. And I just went on live and I said that please take as many pictures as you want. Please troll me as much as you want, and we could have as much fun as we can. And that's about it. That's what Rahul Mukherjee is.
Wow. Yeah. So I mean, like I said, I don't know the guy. I have never spoken to him or met him, but his reputation precedes him. And it is by chance that the question was asked to you.
No, but I'll not blame him. I'll not blame him completely. I'll tell you why I will not blame him completely. Because we in India have this messiah complex. We think promoters are big. We think, what are we promoting? We don't have big shows that, we need promoters. What are we promoting? We are not. This is not the UFC. Even Dana White, the real one, who is white and bald.
Yeah.
And even he gets called out for doing things wrongly.
Yeah.
And here we are in India, where the sport is not established, where promotions are. We don't call out people's bullshit.
Yeah.
We don't call out people's bullshit when they are telling that they are legitimate clubs. And see, when you call out somebody, and if that man has any legitimacy, or it's worth his salt, he would come out and explain himself. That's what you need, right?
Yeah.
That's a healthy conversation.
Yeah.
Like, I have been called out for a lot of things, and I just want to go out on record. If somebody comes out and tells that I am wrong, I'm willing to explain myself or give an explanation in front of everybody on record. I have no problem. I'm not a perfect man myself. I've not maintained my team in the most perfect of situations or manners, and I accept that. But we do not call people on people's bullshit. And that's what it is. That's why associations, federations, clubs who think they own the sport, and the people that they ban you think they have messiah complex. This is a clear case of Stockholm syndrome. We give them power. It's not the other way around.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. Like I said, India is different, and this is the first time I'm getting. Yeah, I mean, with Calcutta is insane because we don't really talk about Calcutta in terms of that much is happening in Calcutta. But actually, speaking to you, there's a lot that's happening
Oh no, there is
under the radar.
a lot of things happening in Calcutta
Yeah.
just from the reverse side. So we are working in reverse.
Yeah, it's like it's like in terms of the politics, like I think Calcutta is the capital of combat sports in India.
Oh no, we have been doing. This is Calcutta. We have been doing politics since politics did not exist.
Cheers, thanks, man. Okay, so let's wind this up. I know you got work. Can you say something about Combat Clan? Can you talk about some of the upcoming fighters that you have, and what are the plans for these guys?
You see, one thing I don't know what to say about my team. Believe me, it's just an initiative that we had started 2 years back. It started when I didn't even know it had to start. It started because I called out a team on their unfair practices, and I've always tried to be beside my fighters. Sometimes I haven't been able to do so, and there have been misunderstandings because of that. But I try to do my best. Nobody is perfect, and as you said, that there is a lot of thing that goes on when you need to maintain a team, maintain mats, maintain equipments, maintain rent, and everything, all of those. But see, at this point of time, we have high hopes and we have high aspirations, but we are willing to put down the work behind it. And if somebody has to say what Combat Clan is and how they are, it's you guys, because you are the coaches of the opponents that we face. And if you guys are convinced that we are doing a good job, and then I think we are doing a good job, because not only me as a coach, but I have phenomenal guys. You talk about Orono Bakchi, phenomenal guy. You talk about Mohammed Ismail, phenomenal guy. I think Ismail was the one who faced one of your guys in Bombay in IHF.
Yeah.
So
very good fighter,
phenomenal guy,
very good
great
fighter.
workhorse. So I have Gorgo Chatterjee again, a phenomenal guy, great workhorse. I have Shagnik. Shagnik has been to you, I guess.
Very good, very technical.
Yeah, I have Rashid, who has competed in ADCC. I think bronze this time or last time. I don't really remember.
Yeah, the first
because
time.
I was not there.
Yeah, the first time.
I have Mohammad Sanawaz Sonu has been there with since the start.
Yeah.
I have Ali, who is training. Gautam is one of my first coaches that I've actually took onto the team. And Gautam, Sonu, and Ali were my first students when I started my career in 360.
Yeah.
So those are like my first real 3 guys who I have trained properly, and took them through the fire, or you might say. So we are trying to do all these guys, and I think the least hardworking guy in this whole team is me. I'm the laziest, and I'm telling you, I'm the laziest moron in this team, because all of these guys are too hardworking. They have a lot of aspirations to go forward.
Yeah.
And right now it's a struggle to put opportunities towards them. Now, I know that they look up to me for that, but sometimes with this lockdown and with the facility and everything, so I would say it will always be an ever-going struggle, but I hope that I do help them out in whatever they want to achieve and however they want to achieve, because irrespective of whatever they are putting in, lot of hard work. We have trained in empty flats, we have trained in garages, we have trained in gullies, we have trained everywhere, people's terraces.
Yeah.
Now at this point of time we have places to train, but we are trying our best to do so. And I love these guys. I'll tell you why I love these guys to death, because they have stuck around with me, because they didn't have to stick around for Combat Clan.
Yeah.
Combat Clan was what I thought it could be, right?
Yeah.
I didn't make it knowing that people will stick around. But I love my guys, and I say that this team is for. I don't own the team. We all make the team, and these guys make it possible for me to dream. And I'm telling you, these guys, I love them to death, because they stuck around Combat Clan when they didn't have to. when they didn't have to. They could have just gone to any other places.
Yeah.
But they stuck around, and I think that's what it. And for how good Combat Clan is, or whether we are worth our salt, I think you guys and other coaches and people who organize competitions, they will say it, and I don't think I'm the best judge for that.
Awesome, man. Cheers. I think you guys are legit, man. So, I mean, it was fun chatting with you. I'm hoping that, some of the fighters can come for the next edition of ADCC. Next one.
Even I'll come this time.
So next time is going to be ADCC India Open, and we are getting about 12 countries to participate. So apart from India, there will be countries like Turkey and Singapore, and so we'll get about 12 countries coming in. So it will be like the biggest international grappling event in India. International.
I would like to
international
thank you.
No, that you don't have to, man. But I've had like our teams have gone to these international grappling events where a couple of Afghanis from Malvinagar have turned up, and they've made it an international tournament.
So we have India versus Afghanistan from Southern Street.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy, that India versus Afghanistan happens. It's crazy. India Afghanistan, India Bangladesh happens like.
See, when India Bangladesh happens, you got to understand, if you throw a stone anywhere in Calcutta, it will land on a Bangladeshi.
Cool, man. All right, it was fun chatting with you, man.
It was fun, man. It's fun.
Hope it was fun.
Fun.
And if my guys are traveling to Calcutta, I'll try and connect you to them, and hopefully you guys can train together.
Please. It's always been a pleasure. Rajiv I have met, and Rajiv has some weird. You should ask Rajiv about his experiences in Calcutta.
He came for a fight, and didn't get a fight.
Yeah, I was there. I was in his corner.
So he went for a fight. It was some biggest MMA fight, cage fight, whatever. And it was a tuition center where they just put a cage. And
it was not put. It was half put, and it was a.
It's a different episode altogether. Like I said, there's more politics in Calcutta combat sports than there is politics in Delhi. So, all right.
Yeah, I'll absolutely agree to that. But on that note, we should all work together to make this sport as legit, and we should all train together. And
definitely, I'm planning. I'm planning maybe in if ADCC happens later in the year next year, because I don't know how long this coronavirus is going to be. I do want to make a trip to Calcutta and train with some of the clubs there, because I had a lot of fun training. When I came to when I had that super fight there after my fight, I got to train with a lot of the guys from BJJ Ronins, and they really wanted me to come and train. Mm-hmm. So I definitely want to come again and train with their team, with your team. I want to spend some time. So let's make it happen, man. Later in the year.
Yes, man. Yes, would love that. It's fun chatting with you. I hope I get a lot of heat after this conversation for whatever I have said.
Let's hope so.
Bring it on.
Let's hope so. Cheers, man. See you. Take care. Stay safe.
Cheers, man. Cheers.
And good luck at work.
Stay safe, man. Stay safe.
Cheers, man. Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.